in the middle of the nature, and again starting with a masterclass on communication skills. Let's see how we can go about. Let me show you the place around first. Maybe if I can pan my camera. I think you have a canal over there, and then you have some beautiful scenery around. Yeah, some beautiful landscape out there. So I've chosen this place to be there today for a discussion on communication skills. Now, I have collected some of the questions on communication skills. At the top ones being, everybody is asking how can you improve your communication skills, and how to improve my communication, but what is the best way to improve one's communication and build up confidence, right? And what are communication skills? Most of the people are normally confused as to what are the communication skills. When we talk about communication skills, what are all those things? What are those skills? I think every time whenever we make a video on it, whenever I go live on it, I think every time we are connected to a new set of people, and it's important to actually talk about it every time we start off with a new session. I have my own opinions on communication skills, like what all should be learned, because I coach on communication skills. I personally believe that that's the way to go. That's the way to really progress in life, and how you can um, improve your life and reach those levels when you can really say that I've really touched the heights. Now, what are the possible, what according to others are the communication skills? Let me just go through those points. Okay, now let me just turn myself towards this. I hope you're able to see me. Now, some of the things to keep in mind while communications are: let the other person do more of a talking, make the person to be in the comfort zone, ask questions, look attentive to show that you really want to listen to that person, be patient to other person, and emphasize with them more. And well, I found these points quite valid. Avoid arguments and the criticism. Now, why avoiding arguments and the criticism should be a part of the communication skills? Actually, this is what we are supposed to learn in communication skills. It's much like as you learn table manners. What are you supposed to do when you are on the dining table? You're supposed to only eat, but then there are rules for it. How how you should be how you should be using those tableware, and how you should be chewing without making a noise. All those are etiquettes that you should be learning when you're on the dining table. We have the similar set of rules when it comes to communication skills. We have to do everything. We have to learn how to criticize. We have to learn how to avoid arguments. We have to also um, see that how to make a point, put questions forward, how not to be rude even when while doing so. So these are the important points that we should always be taking care of, and this is what we learn in communication skills. Now, the first point that always comes is, are we or gathered have we gathered courage, have we gathered really the courage to do so, to ask questions, to keep that always the mental balance with us, so that we are not rude at times, and we are always attracting people that yes, he is the person I should be always talking to. Right. So these are the these are the points that we talk about in communication skills. Okay. Now I'm reading out some of the answers which I could get from other people, because it's good to hear, it's good to listen to the opinions of others, and read all that. But I'm doing that activity for you, assuming that obviously you those who are listening to me at the moment, I have not thought of communication so much, definitely would not go and fathom the answers for all these questions. So the first point that comes is, communications skills are the vast topic to be explained in a single definition. I really agree with him. It's not at all easy to you know concise and really put it in a package to you, and it's a lifelong exercise, and that's how you have to be there. Okay. Now, it includes everything that can be fitted into human behavior. So it is also related to the human behavior, how how you will be behaving in different situations. And but to define it, we can say that it's an ability to convey your thoughts and ideas precisely and effectively, and to understand it profoundly, we might need to follow it into deeper aspects. Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks, Mr. Mr. Tyagi has written this response. Communication skills are basic life skills, and that has become a must to have to grow in the present modern world. Poor communication skills can equally affect your work and persona life. So it's really important to understand the necessity to have a good communication skills. Right, that's a good one. Now, according to him, what what should be included in the communication skill is verbal communications. Verbal is when we are speaking, and when we are speaking, we have to be perfect there. So verbal communication is face to face, telephonic, radio, and any interaction which includes the use of mouth to speak up something. Whenever you are speaking something, it's your verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, no hand signals, the eye movement. If I'm not looking at you, if I'm looking here and there, like I'm looking at the screen and reading your answers, I'm sure you will not be comfortable. I'm sure you will not be comfortable if I continue doing this for a long time. So you need to have that eye contact. So that comes in the non-verbal communication. I'm sorry. Um, Gestures, the body language, the dressing sense, even your voice tone. These are all some of the non-verbal communications and unintentional ways of communication. So you just can't cover it up in one thing. That yes, I've learned the language, I have learned everything, and now I'm perfect in this. Written communication, ways of communication. Now written is another one. When you are working, when you're working and then you need to communicate, say your boss says that you need to prepare this, you need to write a letter, you need to prepare a response to this. All those things will come in the written communication. Visualization, all the ways, which include the use of graphs, charts, images. Now you are communicating this way as well. You are making charts, and you're making charts. You're connecting with you're trying to pass on the information using those visuals, infographics. That's another way of doing it. So visualization is another way. But the most important skill which help you excel in your life is verbal and non-verbal. These are the two skills. These are the most required skills which will help you to keep growing and make relations better with the people. But now the question arises, what are the good communications? What are the good communications? Good communication includes great listening power, active body language, proper utilization of hand gestures and the eye movement, confident and polite tonal voice, open-mindedness and respectfulness. So it's all about the human behavior which actually makes you a good communicator all the ways. Okay. I'm reading another response from how do I become a better communicator. If it is needless to say, please don't say it. If the next chapter needs no introduction, please don't introduce him. But you still do that because you don't really believe that it's needless to say. You are probably just one. You're just being poetic. Okay. All right. Okay. One thing is very clear in business: you need to communicate with the people, and hence communication skill is the prime importance. Is of prime importance to be successful in a business. Understand this: we human have emotions, and communication means to talk to their emotions. So you have to really take care of the emotions when you are communicating. Whenever you communicate, should touch them, should motivate them to act, and it doesn't make sense of sharing the information without any direction or a goal. It's just like a ship moving in an ocean without any direction or a map. Where that ship will land, nowhere, or will land in some unpredictable destination. So the point here is, whenever we are doing a communication, we have a, we have a message to pass. We have a message to pass. We have a clear agenda that what we are going to do. What are we trying to communicate? And we exactly work the same way. So we conceptualize everything. We conceptualize the thoughts and the structure, whatever we want to say, and all those things are there in our mind, and when we just blurt it out, we just say it the way we want to do, right? I just got a story from Anubhav Jain here. Now he says, once an old friend visited my home. We met after a few days, rather, we met after a few months, chatted casually for a while, and then he said, brother, I feel quite nervous while interacting with people, and thus I'm facing a lot of problems in the interview and college presentations. What to do? I stared at him and said, but you interacted with me quite well just now. To this he replied, I'm not talking about you and my other friends and the families. I'm talking about professional interactions. Instantly, I replied, you idiot, I am. We are less important to you than those silly outsiders? He laughed. He laughed and said, obviously no, brother. I smiled and said, then why do you give them so much of importance and why do you fear them so much? Just to be yourself. Talk like you do to your family. Be a bit more formal though and move on. Over importance create nervousness. Be a little casual towards life and circumstances. And one more thing, if you're not confident in a particular language, spend an hour daily reading loud its literature and watch some TV shows, and that's it. He nodded his head and in acceptance and smiled. After a few months, he said, bro, this works. This really works. This is how. This is how it works. I mean, we create that fear within ourselves that we will not be, we'll be addressing so many people. Just forget. Just forget that you are in front of so many people. Just don't think about that. You have to just say what you want to do. You have to just say what you want to say. Go with that. Yeah, they're all very bookish. I was just trying to find out some real time story which I can get, but kind of not getting that. Yeah, somebody has written the skill in communication is not just singular, but can be many. As a person cannot master all the aspects of communication, there are things you can't be better at. Skill of saying no without making them realize is needed skill these days. It's an art. Paying as much as attention to what the other person says is not listening, but also understanding. It is a skill. All right. Okay. Communication skills are the means for us to talk. Okay. Do you have any question? I mean, if those who are connected, if you have if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat box so that we can discuss about it. We can we can be more interactive on this. I think I'll be able to explain better if we are more interactive with this. Yeah, somebody has given a very illustrative list and it says your language skills. So communication skills includes your language skills, your public speaking skills, your writing skills, your listening skills, non-verbal skills, and your conversational skills in a social situation, your assertiveness skills, and your presentation skills, your social skills, manners, etiquettes, etc. Now, all those things are also included in the communication skills. A communication is a continuous iterative process that involves listening, speaking, and understanding. Okay. Now, one of the point that mostly I have noticed is that people, I mean, all of us, we just don't create a habit of learning communication skills. Now, communication skills is all about, it's all about habits. You have to have some good habits. You have to incorporate those things, make these a part of your life. When you're making these habits a part of your life, things will change much faster. Now, um, when we insist upon reading, when we insist upon writing journals for your writing skills, and listening, listening to the right kind of a material in the podcasts, or maybe in YouTube. We normally tell people to have these skills with them, um, but hardly, very few people, they come up, they try to incorporate these habits, and the months go, and then they're still at the same level. They they don't even read. They don't even read a single paragraph, and in that situation, it really becomes very difficult to um, build up your vocabulary, uh, so that you can speak. Um, and when you listen to a lot of people, you actually observe that how those people talk, and um, what kind of a mannerisms they are observing, how they're responding to particular question, what pause, what body language they have. All these things we can observe when we consume a lot of content on the social media. We tend to use the social media for different purpose, but I think we should be using social media for um, making these kind of improvements in our life, and improve our communication skills. Sometimes we also have the false impression that yes, I can do it, and when the situation comes, we find it very difficult for people to really perform the way they would have thought about themselves. I recently had a session where I was to talk about some interview skills, or guide some guide students on the importance of communication skills, and prepare them for their interviews. And I was very much surprised to know that hardly a, a student or two could really even introduce themselves. The very question, tell us about yourself. Even the questions, like though the easy questions like that, they were not able to explain well. Most of the people would have, those who were attending the session, would have really thought that they will listen to the speech, and they will go away. But when it comes to practicing, when it comes to showing, when it comes to demonstrating, then you find it very difficult that it just can't be done. It just can't be done that way. That's where the challenge comes. So you should be exposing yourself more and more to such situation where you can really test the waters and see whether you are able to do or not. All right. I'm looking for something crazy explanation if somebody has given. hmm Vocal variety, your vocal charisma, your pauses. Yeah, talking in front of the mirror is also one of the exercise that everybody mostly recommends. And now here is Mr. Lawson who is saying that I practiced lying in front of the large mirror when I was a kid, just so I could lie my way out of the trouble. I was basically a self-taught acting class to control my face and look sincere or honest even if it wasn't. When communicating in public, sounding believable and looking sincere when you really are is a great asset in getting your words accepted. Yeah, that sounds good. I regularly speak first to strangers and start short conversation that leave both of us feeling good about ourselves, and even resulted in me getting a longer conversations that made my wife ask me who I was talking to, and and I would have to admit we never exchanged names. I told her how to start it with basically a smile, a friendly voice, and something on which we could agree. Sometimes now when shopping, she's the one having fun talking to strangers and parenting. All right. Now this is one of the important points that I noted here. Yeah, self-taught class. Okay. There was a point that I noted. I regularly first. Yeah. The point is that whenever you are making a presentation and you are being asked to speak, normally, there is always a question that you should be going first or you should be going last. You should see how other people are doing, and then you accordingly do whatever you are supposed to do. But logically, it's better to take the first. It is better to be the first speaker, because if you really do good, then others have no chance. But if you are doing bad, then obviously you will have to sit through, listen to all others, and you have to keep on blaming yourself that you didn't do well. But think about the positive thing. Think about the positive thing that you will be you will be doing phenomenally good, and in that case, probably others will be just like that sideline, and they won't. others won't be heard. So you win the game. So you have to be try to be the first. Try to be the first always. Try to be first in asking question. Try to be the first in making presentation. Try to be first always, and we always try to be the last. I mean, that's what is our probably the mindsets somehow, that we want to be we want to be we want to listen to others first and compare that how am I doing, and then accordingly I'll set the rules. Probably I'll set my standards accordingly, whether I have to go fast, I have to go, I'll make corrections, and we always think that I will make corrections and probably produce something better than them. So but that doesn't happen. By then you have lost the game, and the impression is already lost by then. So that probably is not the right choice. Okay, now let me see what further I've got. Mm, how can I improve my skills as I'm very poor at expressing my thoughts? Okay. How can I improve my skills as I'm very poor at expressing my thoughts? Now the answer is my dad learned his first words of English when he was around 10, and he still thinks in Hindi. Oh, some somebody from my own country. I am I, on the other hand, learned English as my first language and have been speaking it for all of my life. I would easily trump Dad on English, both written and spoken, and that is all thanks to the education I've received, courtesy him, of course. Alright, that was good. Now, intriguing part here is that I failed to understand till very recently is that I found myself failing to express the same thought that Dad would have. We have constant debates about policy and business, and he's able to express things in English much better than me. When I asked him how he managed to do this, he just simply said, I think a lot before I speak. Alright. This is a powerful encapsulation of a great lesson I learned. Expressing thoughts is a combination of communication and thinking. You may be a great speaker and extremely articulate, but you need to think clearly. You will fail as communicator if you cannot think. Expressing thoughts involve thoughts, and most people tend to just focus on impression. Wow, I love this answer. I think that's it. So you got to have, and this is where the problem is. This is what I talk in mostly my sessions about lag and lead phenomena of your mind and mouth and your speaking. Mostly what happens, our mind lags and our mouth leads. So we tend to speak. We tend to speak first, and then we receive the feed from our mind that this is what you should have spoken. And that's where we have those verbal tics problem. We add the filler words, and then because the feed has not come from your mind that what you should be speaking, but since you want others to feel that actually you are able to communicate, and you want to demonstrate that you're able to communicate, so you start speaking. So the moment somebody asks you a question, you start making preparations as if you are ready to speak. So that dilutes the whole process. So you have to actually have the thought and what you should be speaking. They should come together and should be presented. And when that happens, the communication goes better. Okay. Now there's one more here. First of all, we need to understand. First of all, we need to understand that what is exactly the meaning of communication skills here. The skill is an art of a person which can show wonderfully by his own like communications. Communication skills are those qualities of interaction to others by which you can put your thoughts and influence them just with your talks and effective body gesture. Yeah. There's one more question here, which I think is a good one and important, I think very, very relevant to all those who are listening at the moment. What are some of the normal communication skills that can be helpful to communicate better? Now, the first is specific. Be specific with your words. Don't elaborate unless you are asked. Asked, you use less words to communicate more. Avoid repetition. Use simple words. You should be using simple words while communicating. Sometimes people use jargons or difficult words that the meaning of message gets lost. Your message should be well defined and well refined with simple words. Rephrase. Just to understand what the other party is saying, try to rephrase and explain your own words for better clarity. Be a good listener. If you are talking and you don't listen, your conversation becomes one-sided and can be boring one. So these are a few steps that you should be taking care of, and much actually gets cleared when we have the one-to-one sessions, when we have people face-to-face, and then we can point out lots of things, observe them clearly, that what are they doing, what are the mistakes they are making while communicating. So more it comes out in the one-to-one sessions or the sessions when we have for communication skills. So if you are interested, you can always ping me up on WhatsApp. My number is in the description out there, and you can also write a mail if you want to have a conversation, and if you want to really improve your speaking. If you need someone who can talk to you, we are there. So you can utilize us for doing that, and think of the transformation ahead. Thank you very much. It was great having you. Thanks for being a part of Born Scholars.